Good afternoon. It is Sunday, November 23rd, 2025. Somebody mentioned about, all of the perpetrators that are in my life, the gang stalkers. And since the government already had chipped me when I was a child, everybody in my life was a theatrical performer. After I met them, obviously. Not everybody intentionally, but once I moved and had exposure to somebody, like a child in school or whatever, they eventually became a participant of this, I believe. One particular name came out. So when I was living on Pawhuska Road in Apple Valley, California, we moved there in 1997, right? Yes. Yes, 1997. Yeah, whatever, give or take, because I have to do the math. Julie was born in 90. 94, we were in Germany. So yeah, 97, we were in Barstow. So roughly, and we were in Barstow maybe 3 years. I can't recall. Anyhow. So, yeah, anyway, probably 99, we probably moved to Apple Valley. Anyhow, there were several families. I remember there was Bobby Story. Her father was a cop. They lived directly next to us. There was a house right next to them. I do not recall what their names were, but they always had a beautiful dog that I used to play with. And then they literally made a fence inside of their fence so that the dog couldn't come over to me. It wasn't like I was feeding the dog. The dog was bored. They never came out to play with the dog, pet the dog, nothing. They barely fed the dog. I was like, why do you have a dog then? But yeah, so, and then down the street was Jessica, I think her Voffin or something like that. She was in choir with me. She was dating Sean Kilger, who actually saved me from committing suicide when I was 17. Then there was Trayvon Jackson, who lived around the corner in a 2-story house with his family and his brother. I used to walk his younger brother home. Trayvon Jackson is now a professional baseball player. I mean, I don't know if he still is, but at the, from the last that I looked him up, he was. Congratulations. Hopefully that wasn't on my decree, like everybody else's success seems to be. Nam Yen was the major focus because he was my neighbor who lived across the street. December 9th is his birthday. Always had a thing about the Asian culture. They never really liked black people. So, of course, I never really dated an Asian. Never really dated an Asian man. Never really dated African-American, like strictly African-American men either. And I'm excluding, Daryl and Antonio and Michael May, because Michael May is mixed. Daryl was mixed. And Antonio was just trash black America. It is what it is. He was, So when I say African-American, I mean from Africa, or Nigeria, somewhere that's not so American. But there was also Jeremy and Zachary, 2 little Caucasian boys that lived down the street. My brother used to hang out with them. They were the only kids, kind of, but my brother was way too old. I would go, but I was totally out of place, and they would want to do stuff with guns and just be violent. They were just violent, especially Jeremy. Jeremy was very violent. Zach was more like me, and where he got bullied by Jeremy, just like I got bullied by Justin. But then Justin and Jeremy could bully each other. The thing is Justin's a bigger boy. He was older. And then when their father, Jeremy and Zach's father, got racial with us, I had to pull Justin back and let my dad handle it. Because you want to get racial with some mixed kids, handle my dad. He's a full black. Letting us talk about the N-word with him. You have fun with that. But around the corner was Mark and 2 of Mark's brothers. Now, this is my brother's friend, Mark. Mark was another sweet case that was just born in the wrong family. Both of his brothers were very violent, very destructive. They liked to shoot animals with BB guns, watch them die, pull off their limbs. Like, they were very disgusting creatures. And my brother actually fit perfectly with them. But Mark seemed to gravitate toward Justin. And Eventually, Mark and I gravitated toward each other because we were very similar. You know, our experiences, we're not exactly like them, but we kind of have to follow suit because that's all we're around. So we can't exactly be like, no, screw that, because we'll be beat the crap out of. So we were both very quiet people. Now, Mark was the neighbor of Alicia Cline. She was a little Chinese girl. She was one of my friends for a while, especially, I think she was 6th grade when I was 8th grade. Sorry, people are messing around over here again. But I think she was 6th grade when I was 8th grade. And she... Sorry, I hurt myself recently. I've been attacking it. Don't have my rice mask that I'm soaking some rice so I can make my nice little mask again and take care of my skin again. But Alicia Cline, she was in 6th grade, I believe, when I was in 8th grade. We were kind of close friends. She was actually being taken care of taken care by her grandmother. I don't remember her name. Her grandmother hated my guts. Obviously, there's something that I didn't know. And I remember telling my mom about her, and my mother was like, forget it, forget about her, you know, just go for Alicia. And I was like, okay, so I would. And then I remember one time, like, her mother just literally would not let me see her anymore. Her grandmother, excuse me, her grandmother, Alicia's grandmother, would not let me see her anymore. So I wrote a really nasty message and I left it in their mailbox being like, your grandma's a bitch. And oh yeah, you know, of course that made it worse, you know, but I didn't specify bitch. I knew better, but I still said some not nice things. And when I would see Alicia, it was rough. She used to cut herself. And she would smile. God, now that I think about it, you know, she was like me. She would smile as if nothing's wrong, laugh it off. And I remember after she moved away, we didn't really keep in too much contact, and then we ended up on Facebook together, and I would check up on her, and she was smiling and laughing and having a good old time too, but she had an amputation. I think she had a rare disease where she was amputated on the leg. She never talked about it with me. But she said that she was, from what I recall, she said that she was diagnosed with something. And unfortunately, it took her leg underneath the knee. And so she had a prosthetic. And she was still smiling. But I knew she was suicidal. But the thing is I didn't understand it. You know, at the time, I really oblivious, you know, completely oblivious. By this time, I wasn't even suicidal. I was too busy trying to just be quiet and not be seen so I could be left alone and not harassed, humiliated, mocked at school, bullied, you know, and my mom was always making me feel bad for beating up the kids that would bully me, you know, and my dad totally supported it, but my mom, I had to spend more time with my mom, so it was a lot more criticism coming from my mother about me protecting myself. And so over time, I was like, well, if I just stay quiet, eyes down, I can't create a problem. I thought, my existence is a problem. That's what I didn't understand. So I don't know too much. I think Alicia might have ended up being bi. She might have been I almost said the word bisexual. I'm not sure. But I do remember that about her. She would smile a lot, but there was a lot of pain. Another person who was oppressed by their family was Soraya. She was African American and Asian. I never met her mom. Her mom was African American. I met her dad. He was a very nice, very white Chinese man, but he loved me. He was so sweet to me. Like, oh, you're here for Soraya? Okay. And we would be in the room. And to be honest, I think if her mom didn't get involved and her boyfriend at the time, who ended up being my boyfriend later on, and I just didn't know, that was Dylan Fox. I don't know. I might have had a relationship with her because when we met at Pixels off of University in Riverside. And it's like a dive bar, Pixels. And I remember she was drunk. She's like, I think you're pretty. And we were just dancing with each other because we saw some weird guys messing with us. And so I was like, dance with me because there's a weird guy. She's like, yeah, there's a weird guy messing with me too. So we danced with each other. Sorry, we're together, you know? And so after a while, we just went everywhere together. But I remember she was like, you're really pretty. You know, I like girls too. And I was like, thank you. I was like, but let's just be friends. And we were great friends. I love her to death still to this day. And I think it's just sad because she didn't know herself either. And she would do the whole anime cutesy, look at my skirt, wear a wig because straight hair. You know, she was dark, but she had, you know, pretty noticeable Asian features, especially with her nose. And she was beautiful, you know, and she and I were complete opposites. She was always cheerful. Hi everybody, how you doing? And I was just like, what do you want? I was like her bodyguard. It was kind of funny. And so people would always be like, oh, and then there was this one girl, Julie. She was a total wannabe gypsy, but she was always huggy with her friends, and I didn't like them. And I remember she was very busty and like, oh, hey guys. And, you know, she used her sexuality, you know, and I was never about it. I never used my body for attention. That's why I was always completely clothed. I wanted people to see me for this. See, you know, listen to this. If I'm a pretty face, fine. That'll get the first thing, but once you hear it here, you know. And I remember her friends would want to like hug me and stuff, and I was like, no, thank you. And they'd be like, well, what's your problem? I was like, what's your problem? I don't have to hug you just because you're her friend. I don't know you. I don't want you touching me. I was really weird about touching. I was weird about hugs. I always was. But now knowing what I know about myself and the transfer of energy from our life forces, now it was, I guess it was instinctual. I didn't like people touching me. I didn't like people grabbing me. I mean, if it was Angel, yeah, you know, but Angel was always so subtle. If it was the guy I was with, then yeah, that's different, you know, if they grab me by the hand softly or something like, hey, babe, we're going this way, that's different, you know. But if it's somebody I don't know, don't touch me. Don't touch me. And then the people would touch in the hair, like, you know, my sisters, my African-American sisters understand that. Oh, can I touch it? Like, what, you've never touched hair before? Yeah, like, I don't need you touching my hair. Regardless of that, I do understand on a spiritual level, that's another aspect. But, you know, you never ask white girls to touch their hair because you assume it's soft and great. I've seen some raggedy, nasty, dead dry Caucasian women's hair. I remember this one lady, after my brain surgery, when I had the car accident, that I guess my dad and what's her name? Melissa Calcioni and Julio Noriega tried to inflict on me. You know, for a life insurance policy. They forged my signature so that I would do a life insurance policy. And I guess, oh my God, I just had a brain fart. Oh, I was talking about hair. So, you know, after my accident, they shaved off half my head. So I ended up shaving off the other half. And then, like a couple weeks later, I shaved both altogether so that it was not like one side growing faster than the other. But anyway, I was like in the process of growing hair, so I probably had like maybe 2 inches by this time. So I had a decent amount. It was covering the head, you know, not my scar over here. You know, that's why you can kind of see through here because there was another area that they cut open and then they stitched together. But yeah, there was some raggedy woman behind me and Melissa at a Walmart. And she was talking about Melissa's hair. Oh, it's so pretty. And I was like, I know it is pretty. And I did. I think Melissa's hair was beautiful. And it was very thick. Very, very thick hair. You know, but she's like, I don't know what to do. I can't. She complained about everything. She complained about breathing air. Like, she was ridiculous. Everything was a complaint to her. She hated existing. Like, I don't even know why she's still alive. And, like, she hates living. So I don't even know. Why are you still here? You're too afraid to commit suicide? I'm sorry. I shouldn't talk like that. Still on that forgiveness trail with her. Not really. I kind of don't care. But anyway, yeah, so this lady was just all this. And then and the thing was, I was having a conversation about stuff with hair with Melissa, and this lady interjected, and then, she goes, "Oh yeah, you can put your hair in a weave or something." And I looked at her and I said, "Sweetie," I said, "my hair is softer and nicer than yours." Because you could look at her hair and you knew it was dead. It was dry, dead, and raggedy, and just, what do you call it? Teased up. But it was teased as if she like didn't tease it. It more like was just a mess that she thought looked tolerable from waking up in the morning after like 5 days of not doing anything with her raggedy, dry, straight hair. And she had bleached it. She wasn't a natural blonde. It was an older lady, but I was really offended because my hair is soft. I don't have to put anything in it. My hair is soft. My hair is healthy. My hair, even without anything, has a beautiful scent to it. I've always smelled that. And I've had weird guys, like even guys that I just hug, that they're like, like they sniff me. Like, what is wrong with you? But yeah, I've always had guys be like, "I love your hair," even if it's like I hadn't washed it in a couple of days because I was like on a I hate myself and I hate life tour in my room, especially like during college when I just didn't want to leave. Oh, and when I was obsessed with World of Warcraft, I would get up just to play World of Warcraft. I wouldn't eat all day. I don't even know how my body needed to use the restroom. And I was so, talk about addictions. I have gaming addictions. I'm not gonna lie. I've had gaming addiction. I did have an SEX addiction for a little bit, but that was only after I was, you know, fed up with Antonio treating me like crap. And then when I moved to Cal Poly and I met Noman, yeah, he was No Man. And he treated me like crap for nothing, for nothing. And I was fed up. I was done. I was like, why do people keep treating me like crap? I haven't done anything. I'm nice. I'm caring. What? And I was like, I'm done. I'm done with both of you. You guys can go screw yourselves. And then I was soft enough to give both of them another, like, okay, we can talk. And then they both screwed me over again. Like, they just brought back the same emotional, bleh. And I was like, you know what? We're done. And then I went on a SEX kind of addiction and was like, you know what? I want to experience life. I want to experience other people. I want to actually have SEX that I enjoy. I did not enjoy it with Antonio at all. He was my first and he was the worst. And I didn't enjoy it at all. The very first time I didn't want to have SEX for like 2 more months. I think for a whole 2 months, I told him, I was like, oh no, oh no. And it was horrible. And I was always the one doing all the work. I don't think, until I was 25, I don't think I had anybody that actually showed me that I didn't have to do all the work. I was like, wait, what? This is what give and take in this is? Had no idea, because I was always so dominant. Because I was so tired of being treated like crap. So I was like, fuck, didn't say the word. So I was like, screw this. I'm going to go out for what I want. And when I get what I want, I'm going to get exactly what I want out of it. And that's why I gave and gave, because I got exactly what I wanted. So of course I'm going to give. If I liked a man for, the outside and I had a attraction, like a heavy attraction, I definitely would. I would give that part of me. And if he stuck around, I would give more because I genuinely wanted him for all aspects. But obviously, like I said in a prior video, if you, you know, go into a relationship for one aspect, the other ones end up suffering for that. And so I went through 10 months of an SEX addiction because I wanted to feel, I wanted to be alive. And I was always a workaholic, and everybody bored me, nobody had good conversation. I mean, learning at Cal Poly was enough. Like, I was like, okay, this is already really critically on my head. But yeah, that's why when I met Angel, he was gorgeous and then brilliant, and mild mannered, perfect. He was perfect, absolutely perfect. Like, just, and I overwhelmed him a lot. But, you know, communication is key. Anyway, so I just wanted to talk about that, about the Cline. I know I kind of went off on a tangent and made this video way too long. It's already 20 minutes. Hopefully you enjoy it. I just wanted to talk about the Cline because I did know about Alicia Cline. I don't know the extent of their sorcery, witchcraft, whatever